Okay, so this is a story of how I, in air quotes, met my grandma. It can be a little spooky, this story. Uh, it is a little weird. It's not very scary, but it's spooky, like it's eerie. You might be like, oh, that must be rough as a child or something, or you're gonna be like, we've all seen that before, you know? Some people might have a phobia of this, so viewer discretion is advised. I have to say that. I had to I had to search that up. I actually have to say that in case someone is like, you know what I'm saying? Like, but here it goes. So it really goes all the way back to when I was like 4 or 3. No, I'm lying. It was like when I was 8 or 9. Yeah, that's a big fucking jump, I know, but I made a slight mistake on the age. Uh, Pretty much, this was around a time where my mom and my stepdad first got around together. Like they weren't married yet. They got married when I was 10 or so. Yeah, they got married when I was like 10. So this is like my stepdad made me, he met me and my mom when I was around 6. So at this time, he's still like, I was still getting used to this guy living around and stuff. And at the time, he woke me up like really early. So it's like, I gotta get up for school. I have to leave the house by 7:45, and I normally wake up at like 6:45. Because I take a long time to get ready. Because I'm also getting ready on my own, which I didn't have to always do, but I did that day. And I only remember this, like, I'm 19 now, so it's like a lot of people wouldn't remember so much stuff when they were younger, but I only remember this because of how much I was like, whoa, you know? Like, this is kind of not a huge moment in my life, but it was a moment of my life of like a big moment of realization of what my life is. So, yeah, it was that morning. He woke me up really early. He woke me up like he's supposed to wake me up at 6:45. He woke me up at like 6 o'clock, I think, because he would normally like let me get ready and then he would drop me. But he said I have to walk to school that day. Uh, and he was doing something that morning as well. Like he was moving in some of my mom's old stuff out of our basement, and one of them or two of them were pictures. One of them was his picture, and one of them was my mom's pictures. Not just regular pictures, they're more like they're the size of large paintings. So they're like big pictures, but in painting frames. And there were two old women. One was my stepdad's grandma, and one of them was my mom's grandma. Now, this is where it's like I seen him hanging the pictures, and I'm like, oh, who are they? And he's telling me, he's like, that's my grandma. That's your mom's grandma. They're very nice women, like you would have loved to meet them. Because again, they're both, well, we'll get to that. But it's like, he was pretty much saying, like, like explaining to me how much fun he had and how well that they treated, like, his grandma treated him better than his parents. I guess that's when I also learned like you have special privileges as being a grandchild compared to being their actual child. And it's like old people grow soft as they get older. So I guess it was something like that he was trying to explain to me. And it's like he was like, I wish you could have met your great grandma. Because that was his grandma, and then it was my mom's mom. And I was like, oh yeah, but I have met her before. And he's like, what? And at that time, it wasn't 4 times at the time, but later on, I met her for the fourth time. It was actually 3 times, and I was explaining. I was like, yeah, I seen her about 3 times. And I'm like, again, we've only known each other for like 2 years. He just moved in like a year before. So he's either thinking, okay, this kid's special or this kid is special. And I'm like, yeah, no, what are you talking about? And I'm going to explain this now. He knew that my grandma died when my mom was 16. Or my mom's mom died when my mom was 16. And it was pretty rough around that life for her. Especially because my grandpa, my current grandpa who's still alive, my mom's dad, had 5 wives. So he was never like, he was always somewhere else. And I guess there's a bit of it's a long story, but I love my grandpa. But pretty much, like, he calls my mom down the stairs because she's still home. She hasn't gone to work yet, and she's like confirming the story. She's like, "Yeah, Marcus, what do you mean? She died when I was 16. There's no way you could have met her." And I said, "No, no, no." And I point out one of the main times I remember seeing her, because I did, and I do remember seeing her. Even till this day, I'm still like, I seen her with my own 2 eyes. Like, I watched her walk up to me, and I'm sitting there like back at not our house, but at my grandpa's old house when I was there. I was explaining to her, like, there's only 2 of us at the time. There's his fish tank, because I used to have a fish. He died. It was miserable. I was very miserable that day. And I was like sitting on the floor, and I'm explaining like, no, I seen her walk up to me and she was talking to me. As of right now, I don't remember what the conversation was. I was really young at the time I actually saw her, not at the time that I was explaining this story to my parents. But I was like maybe 3 or 4. I don't know. I'm 19 now. I can't remember that badly, but I remember what I said. I said I was about 3 or 4 at the time when I was 9 years old, explaining this to my parents, and they're like, again, like, this kid is either special or he's special, and pretty much, like, they didn't know whether I was just like having an overreactive imagination or if I actually saw her. So my stepdad's side was like very religious. And so back to the time, my first time I saw her. So pretty much I'm going to describe her because I got way off track. I'm very sorry and might have to edit most of that out because that's not why you clicked on this video. I apologize. I'm going to describe how I seen her. So I already said that she walked up to me and stuff, and we had a conversation that I can't remember because of how late it was. And I seen her in, at the time, I can call it our main house 3 times. In that house, I've seen her, and one time I've seen her at a completely different house. I don't know whose house that is, but I remember there's a fish tank, and my mom was talking to one other person, and one day she just came down the stairs, and it was like, I was so cold. I remember explaining to them that I was just so cold for no reason for that 2 minutes that we were talking to each other. And my mom was like, number one, she said I was in my car seat sleeping. Like, it's not like I was strapped in or anything, ready to be taken in. No, I'm like 3 or 4 years old. I can obviously walk to the car myself. But I was just sitting there unbuckled just because I was waiting to go, apparently. And I was just sleeping, she said. For me, I was awake. And I was staring at her. At that time, I had no clue. I was describing her to the old man like I actually saw her, to my old man, as my stepdad. I was describing it to her like, no, I saw her already. She could not have died. I seen her. And again, they were like, okay, you're either special or you're special. And me as a kid, I'm like, what are these guys talking about? They must be the ones confused. Surely. They don't know their own grandma. They don't know their own mother. And then I'm like, yeah. And they're like, no, like, I saw her. And then I just remember being so cold. And when she walked up to me, she got, all of a sudden I was freezing. Like when she got up to my face, I was just freezing. I was explaining that to him. She was like, well, what did she say? Again, I am 4'3". At the time, I don't remember what I told my dad the conversation was. But I was pretty much like, yeah, she was very nice. She was very polite. Stuff like that. And pretty much he was like, well, it looks like your grandma's watching over for you. Because again, my stepdad's side, very religious. Very religious. He's an ex-con. He's been to jail. But he still, like, very much believed in God. He wasn't some guy who just found God. No, I met my grandparents on his side. Their whole family is all extremely religious. Moving on to, like, I just want to explain that real quick. It's gonna help out you guys understand my dad's thought process in the future, because I'm gonna explain the other 3 times I've seen her. So the second time I'm seeing her and I'm explaining it to him was pretty much like 2 months prior to this. And I was explaining, it was like, yeah, when my cousin Ty came over, the night before he came over, I was eating cereal at like 11 a.m. So, and I've always been a night like cereal eater. I don't know. I made it sound like a criminal term. It's not. I'm not a fucking criminal, but it's like I used to like having a midnight snack, and I was explaining to her. And I was like, oh yeah, it was like almost 12 o'clock, and I just seen her in the living room. She's waving at me, and to this day, I can kind of picture what I saw that day or that night. And I'm like explaining to him. He's like, okay, well, she's not, like, she's not angry. She's just watching over you. And they're like thinking it's cute and shit. And I'm like, no, you guys aren't understanding me. You're telling me she's dead. I'm telling you, we've made eye contact and we've spoken to each other. And then another time I mentioned seeing her was again in that house, was when I went downstairs to the basement that day where my aunt lived with us. And pretty much she was out because she had to go to work, and I had to go down there to get cream cheese or something like that. I don't know. It was some kind of buttery substance. It was some weird tub. I don't know. And I came back up, and I was going back up, and I looked to my left, and I seen her. There's like this hallway where there's a bathroom at the end of it in the basement. Like there's a hallway where the bathroom's at the end of it, and towards the right of that hallway there's a door to the what is it called, man? There's like a crawl space in there, and then there's also, what is it? It's a boiler room, so it had like the AC and then stuff like that in there, and the water temperature, the water pressure in there. So and I'm seeing her. I remember this part. This is the scariest moment. I remember seeing her, and I walked over because she's doing the hand motion like come here, and she's just in the door. And at the time, I'm young and I'm fearless. I haven't seen a scary movie in my life, so I'm like, all right. Now, when I was 9 explaining this to my dad, he was like, why would you go in there? But me explaining it like the way, that's how my dad was like looking at me. But when I was looking at him, I was like, why not? Like, I didn't care. I wasn't scared that I was gonna get fucking possessed. I was like, at the time I seen that, I think that was like, that was a year before the second one I explained. So I'm like 8 or 9. So I was like 7 or 8 at the time that I seen that, and I was like, all right. And I went on in there, and then I don't remember, but I remember very, like, I don't remember exactly what I saw in there or what she said to me, because I remember a whisper, and I remember being so cold, so cold. and she was pretty much like, she was just pretty much like terrifying me at that point. I don't, again, right now I don't think it was on purpose, but again, I'm young and my mind goes wild. But I'm still like, no, I seen her that day, you know? Like, it's not like a, maybe I seen someone else, or maybe it was some spooky ghost. No, it was like, at that time I had no reason to be afraid. Um and it was like, no, I seen this woman, and she is normally nice, but today she was just a little, a little eerie. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm in here. I'm gonna explain exactly what happened. I'm in here. I'm in there. I go in there very slowly. I see her hair like around this little pillar inside that room. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go in. I'm starting to tear up because of how scary it really was for me at the time. Sorry, I just gotta wake this up. Cause I'm literally like, whoo, like I'm getting shivers just thinking about it. And I walk in there, close the door. I can't find the light. I don't normally go in there, but I'm a short kid. I'm a short guy even now. I'm fairly short. And it's like, when I go up to that pillar, I was a very short kid. So I couldn't see where the light was. I was at that pillar where she was, and I just remember, I don't remember what it was she whispered, but I remember her whispering something to me. And I remember getting so cold, and I could not find the fucking door. And I was like, kicking and screaming and shit. And I'm like, someone has to find me. I don't know where I am anymore. It's pitch black. I walked in the door. I walked in the room, the boiler room, the shit that's making all that fucking noise. All right. I got this creepy lady that's in the fucking crawl space whispering in my goddamn ear. I'm cold as shit. And I'm too short to like, I feel defenseless. And I can't see shit. So I can't escape. And then eventually, my mom's like, "The fuck are you doing down here?" She walks down the stairs. She opens the door. She's like, "Get the fuck out of here. Give me the tub or whatever I have to get her." She's looking around. She's like, "What are you doing in there?" And I didn't explain to her at the time. I was just like, "Nothing." And then I walked up because obviously you're not gonna tell your mom you just followed a ghost into a fucking boiler room. What the fuck? Like, my mom was like, you know how dark skinned moms were at the time, or not dark skinned, but cultured moms were at the time, and they'll beat the shit out of you for anything. I'm not doing that. So I just said nothing, and then she was like, "Why were you kicking and screaming in there?" And I was like, "Oh, I just got scared because I couldn't see." She's like, "You got to get over the fear of the dark or whatever." And I was like, "Yeah, sorry." But yeah, that was the third time that I explained to him, but technically it was the second time I actually experienced her. Um, that was just like that. That was the spooky part, or the another. That's the first spooky part I'm gonna explain. And pretty much that was like a moment in my life where I was like, that's the first moment in my life where I was scared of life itself. Like, I had no reason to be afraid. I have not seen a horror movie at that point. It's not like right now where I can see a horror movie and I can straight up laugh at how stupid, or like how the kills don't make sense. Like, it's not like how I am now where I'm not scared. At that time, I was like, sleeping bed sheets over my fucking head. Like, when I'm sleeping, when you have to cover your head because if they can't see your fucking face, they can't get you. You're fucking invincible, man. My shit's a fucking shield. You're not allowed to unravel the shield. But I was a bad sleeper, so I'd always wake up with the sheet like on the floor or some shit. And I would always be like, I was exposed. And yeah, no, it was a weird time at my life. But yeah, I just remember that being so scary and very creepy. Um, and for the fourth and final time that I seen her, like, it didn't happen until I think like 2 years after these guys, like, I had this conversation with them. It was definitely 2 years after that school year. Cause when I'm like 9 or 10, 8 or 9, I'm like in grade 3 or 4. Yeah, I was in like grade 3 or 4. And it was like, like getting older, making more friends. I'm starting to watch horror movies around that point. Uh, I remember around that area. I think it was like, ah man, I don't remember the exact movie, but the first horror movie I could, like, the oldest horror movie I can remember right now is with this kid named Dalton, and it was like his dad was like taking a nap next to him, going to the spirit round. Oh my god, I forgot. I'm gonna have a picture on the screen, hopefully, of what that movie is, because I just can't remember. But I'll let editing me deal with that shit, because I'm not fucking dealing with that. I'm not trying to overuse my memory here. But pretty much the fourth time was like a month after I seen that movie. So now everything is scary. It wasn't like before where I was like, what the fuck was that? Whatever. No reason to be terrified of it. Now it's like, holy shit, that movie scared the shit out of me. Anything can get me. I'm vulnerable. And I was also watching Discovery Channel at that time. My mom cut out cartoons for me at that time. So I'm watching like all the alien documentaries and shit, and I'm like, no more, no more. I don't want to see. I don't want to hear. I don't want to experience. No more. I'm done. And pretty much, I remember it as in like, I think that's the first time or the oldest time I can remember doing something special for my birthday, and I invited a bunch of my friends, and it was a corn maze. It was a county, it was some farm. It was, God, I might put up a picture of this if I do remember what the name was. I think it was like County Farm or Fantasy. It was something County Farm. Something with those two in it, I think. Maybe. I might have a picture of it on the actual video portion. I might not, but it's like, you know, I, I remember being like, it was like the night before, and I'm psyched out for this maze, and I have a dream about it. And that is the last time I had, like, I claim, like, I have saw her. Again, I can't say I claim. I physically, like, even now, I'm like, no, I saw this woman. I still don't believe. I was still like, how the fuck are you dead? Like, I seen you so many times, and I remember waking up because of how psyched out I was for that birthday party. I remember waking up in the middle of the night, and now that I think about it, it was probably just a lucid dream, and like a terrifying one, because again, that was after I seen the. I still can't remember the name. That was after I seen that scary movie with Dalton Boy and like the dad taking a nap, going to the spirit realm to try and get him back, whatever. Uh, and it was like I I can't explain the actual dream, but I remember for most parts it was probably a lucid dream I was having, because I did have a lot of those at that time. Uh, and this one was just a really scary one, and I remember seeing her when I was like at the maze. So I'm like, the night before I have to get up the next morning, get ready, and go to the maze. The night before that, I'm having a dream about it because I'm so happy about it. And I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go to this maze. It's gonna be fun. All my friends gonna be there. This guy said he's been there before, so he's gonna know the way. Everything's gonna be so cool. And I was like, yeah, it's gonna be a great time. Woo! Stuff like that. And I was like, can't be that bad. And pretty much, I was just running through it with a couple of friends, unfaced friends. They didn't have faces. It was weird. They were just wearing hats and stuff that was like covering their face, making it so that way like there were shadows over their face. I couldn't see their face. I didn't know who I was running with. And then I just seen her, and she was leading me to a little broken part of the fence. And this is the part where it's like, why the fuck would I dream about that? I, although I was scared of her before, I still love this woman. Like, that's my mom's mom, and I'm fully aware of it in this lucid dream. I'm like, I know you. This is after my dad explained it to me. Remember, this is 2 years or so after. Or not 2 years or so, but maybe a year after. And I'm like, I know you. So yeah, I'm gonna follow you. Better not scare the shit out of me this time. And I followed her, and she was leading me the maze, and then I go in. I was in that part of the maze. There's a broken part of the fence, and I like shimmied my way underneath the fence. And I remember this dream so clearly because of how weird it really was. And it was like she was whispering a bunch of shit to me, and I was like, no, no, no. I want out. I want out. But I couldn't wake up. It's a lucid dream, and I could not. I didn't know how to wake up. But I only knew it was a dream because I slowly started realizing, like, how the fuck can't I see my friends' faces? And in that time, I'm like, my heart's fucking racing, and I can't wake up. But I was like, wait. And I remember how I activated my lucid dream because I woke up like 3 hours before, and I'm like, I know I'm dreaming because I remember waking up. And I was like, I was like, okay, it's only a matter of time. If I just stay with this woman, because again, I'm seeing my mom's mom, who was apparently this amazing woman who did everything for my mother before she died. And I'm like, okay, I know who you are now. Me and you were talking. I know you're scaring the shit out of me, but those kids are gonna come back and kill me. That was in my head. Cause she scared the shit out of me by whispering some creepy shit in my ear. And now I'm realizing this is a fucking dream. And in my head, my dumbass decided to conjure up that the kids wanted to kill me. And would you know it? I also conjured up that she was a very protective mother. At that time, I was like, I know it's a dream. Oh no, those kids are gonna kill me now. But I have this woman here who my mom says is pretty much a saint. And I was like, okay, she'll protect me. And it was so creepy because she called me by my name and she told me her name. I didn't know her. My mom only referred to her as her mom. I didn't even know her name at that point until she told me her name herself. And then I had to somehow go back and explain that to my mom, like, I know your mom's name. And it was like, oh man, I'm tearing up again because of how scared I really was at that point. But pretty much it was like she gave me her name and then she pushed me into nothingness. Again, all I see is this crack in between a straw maze, and I'm seeing these murder kids on the other side of it who I just conjured up that was gonna kill me. I didn't even have to do that. I still don't know why my dumbass did that when I knew it was a dream, and all I had to do was just not think of some stupid shit like that, and I did, and I'm terrified. But this woman is like, I'm gonna protect you. And she throws me into nothingness, and I just wake up. I jolt up. I just fucking jolt up. And my dad is like in my room at the time. Clothes all over the fucking floor. He's there picking them up, putting them on the foot of my bed. And he's seeing me. I had no sheet on me, but I'm sweating like crazy. And at that time, I wore a t-shirt and shorts to bed. And the sheet is on the floor, which is the only reason why he was in my room in the first place, because the sheet was on the floor, and he's like, this kid just does not know how to clean his room. God, this kid. And it was like, my stepdad was like, looking at me. I jolted up, gasping. He's like, the fuck is going on? He has me. He's holding his big ass hands on my back, holding my chest. He's like, hey, breathe. And I'm like, I'm okay. She helped me. And he's like, who helped me? And then I had to explain to him. He's like, oh, and you sure that's her name? And I was like, yeah, my stepdad at the time, he didn't know her name. So then my mom comes in the room. She's like, hey, sweetie, are you okay? Like, what's going on? And I was like, it's okay. And I said her name, protected me. And she was like, and she gave me a look like, like I'm thinking of the Rock, you know, the face that he makes. I'm gonna put his picture on screen, but I was like, I think she made that face, and she was like, "Nigga, what? Like, how the fuck do you know that?" And at the time, not a lot of like, there's no way I could have known her name. She doesn't have any files or any photos with her name on it. She's never told me or my stepdad her name. So my stepdad was like looking at my mom. He's like, "That's actually her name?" And I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, it is." So I have that. That's really is the last memory of her that I have to this day. I haven't seen her since. It's only been when I was young. And again, it could just be my like it could just be luck that I just knew her name that day and my overreactive imagination, but I still don't believe that. I wholeheartedly believe that I seen her. And it's like, it's just crazy. Shit like that can happen in life. And some days, randomly, I'll just think about that. And I was like, Mom, remember that time where I knew who my grandma was before actually knowing her? And she'll be like, "Oh, you're young at the time. You remember you probably don't remember the whole story." And I'm like trying to explain to her. I was like, "No, that affected me. That affected me bad. Like I remember the story, Mama." But yeah, um, that was how the times where I've quote unquote met my grandma like 4 times. You can expect me to have more stories like this. No, not exactly like this, but maybe some funny stories, like something funny will that be that day, and I'll like talk about it and I'll explain it. But pretty much, this is what I want to do for my channel. I just want you guys to know that this is the type of stuff I'm gonna want to do. Eventually, I am just gonna go to Let's Plays and I'm gonna start just playing other games and try to focus on the gaming side of my career. But for right now, I'm just gonna explain to you guys the things that I experienced and see if I can connect with maybe some of you. If you guys have like questions, feel free to ask them in the comments, and definitely, I can definitely answer them. If you guys relate to any parts of my story, then please like just let me know, and I'll definitely appreciate that. But pretty much, I'm just gonna call it there. Appreciate for whoever was listening this far. I really do appreciate you for listening. And I'm sorry I went completely off topic earlier on with the whole like family debt, money, uh, no home type of thing. So I'm sorry about that, but I'm gonna call it quits for now. Like and subscribe. That's all I can say. And yeah, have a good. It's the morning time for me, so have a good morning.
Roads blocked. Should clear up when the storm has passed. Roads blocked. Should clear up when the storm has passed. Roads blocked. Should clear up when the storm has passed.